Good evening. It's Tuesday, September 19th, 2023, 7 PM. I call this council meeting to order. Item 2, roll call.
Councilman Becker,
Here.
Councilman Jekyll,
Here.
Councilman Lesko Hair,
Here.
Councilman Schultz.
Here.
President Johnson.
Here. Item 3, public hearings. Tonight we have none. Item 4, public comment. The city council will receive comments from city residents. Comments are generally limited to 3 minutes per individual. Anyone wishing to speak is required to sign up in advance or state their name and the following items for record when called upon: name, address, subject matter, and contact information. No action will be taken on the public comment unless the item is also elsewhere on the agenda. No hybrid meeting. If you folks that are on Zoom with us, if you wish to speak during the public comment period, please raise your virtual hand through Zoom, as the chat box is not monitored during the meeting, and those on the call must remain muted if not recognized to speak. Okay. Anyone in the audience wish to speak? Anyone on Zoom wish to speak with us? First call for public comment. Second call for public comment. Third call for public comment. Tonight we have none. The consent agenda will be outlined below, is hereby presented for action by the city council. Items may be removed from the consent agenda on the request of any one council member. Items not removed may be adopted by one action without debate. Removed items may be taken up either immediately after the council agenda or placed later on the agenda as discretion of the council president.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 6, petitions, requests, and communications. Tonight we have none. Item 7, resolutions and ordinances. Review and possible action relating to an existing employer option resolution for Wisconsin Public Employers Group Health Insurance Program. Clerk Everett.
Thank you. As the memo states, city employees are offered health insurance through the Wisconsin Department of Employee Trust Funds, also called ETF. Back in 2016, ETF partnered with Delta Dental to provide dental as part of an option along with the health insurance. Currently, the city, and for several years, has used a third-party administrator to assist us in getting dental contracts outside of the state plan. So we've had health insurance through ETF and then dental insurance. We've worked with a private consultant that would help us get quotes various years depending on the increases. The past couple of years, we have seen dramatic increases with our dental insurance. Just 2 years ago, we saw a 6% increase. So we had gone out and done another census, and we went back to Delta Dental. We're only guaranteed rates for 2 years, and from there could see yet another jump. Partnering with ETF and having the package of the health and dental actually provides the city a favorable savings of approximately $40,000 a year, which in turn will be applied to the health insurance that increased 20% for 2024. Manager Houseman and I actually have gone to 4 departments today, and we met with 43 of the 94 employees. We discussed the benefits for 2024, including the health insurance, the increase in the rates, which in turn are a little increase for the employees, and then also the switch, which we remain with Delta Dental. However, it's through the state plan, which does provide the savings. Employees therefore do have to pay a small portion for their dental insurance as it's included in the health insurance package. Again, we talked to employees about this and the comments were favorable. Employees were understanding and the benefits are similar in a lot of aspects, different in some. Some of the benefits with the dental program are better in some ways and worse in the others. However, we are seeing a trend that some local dental offices are not becoming PPO or premier providers with any dental carrier. So kind of regardless of the benefits we have, every dental office is going to kind of do what's best for them. So I'm happy to answer any questions. Manager Houseman, did you want to add anything?
I would just add that the Finance Committee did take a look at this at the meeting on September 13th and did recommend that the City Council approve this resolution to change our health insurance program.
Yeah, we had I think a good discussion about this at Finance Committee and while it does require a slight employee contribution, it's less than $2 per paycheck. So I think this is a good all around package that makes sense for the city to move forward with. I will move to adopt the existing employer option resolution for Wisconsin Public Employers Group Health Insurance Program, moving dental insurance from an independent contract to the state group health program.
Second.
Any further debate? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item B, review and possible action relating to a resolution for inclusion under the income continuation insurance plan. Clerk Everett.
Thank you. This is a new benefit that we're able to offer employees for 2024. Income continuation insurance, also referred to as ICI, provides a voluntary income replacement for short-term or long-term disability for full-time eligible employees. The benefit can cover employees. It'll provide a benefit up to 75% based on your prior year earnings. The program has been under a premium holiday for at least 12 years, which means many communities, many municipalities have participated in the program for many years, employees paying into the program, yet they have not paid out as much as they have taken in. And the funds for the ICI program have been invested. So the state said we're no longer going to charge employees for now as the benefit is stable. So that's why we're able to offer this to employees at no cost. There's also no cost to the employer at this point. Trying to think what else I was going to mention. I lost track. Do you want to add?
Sure, I will add a couple things. There's some information in the memo here. What would happen if that premium holiday did not extend? The cost to the city would be an estimated $635 per month. However, we do get advance notice, probably 4 months-ish if the premium holiday would go away. And we would have employee meetings as we do every year around open enrollment for health insurance. And then we would talk to employees at that time and see who's interested in staying on this ICI. The majority of the premium is paid by the employee. But Clerk Ebert has estimated about $635 per month if all the people who, if all of our employees are, take that and the premium holiday ends. So right now there's no cost to the city. There's no cost to our employees. It's just an added benefit. And the Finance Committee did take a look at this as well on September 13th and recommended that the City Council approve it.
We did have some employees requesting this benefit for the past year or two, and we were able to research it and have the right questions answered for us to feel confident moving forward. And as mentioned, Manager Houseman and I were visiting lots of departments today, and I would say 90% of the employees we talked to today did enroll in it. So there's a lot of interest from employees, with the caveat that the council would approve it for tonight.
Income continuation is a quality piece of insurance.
Mhm.
I personally have a brother-in-law who took advantage of that 25 years ago and has made a mega difference in his life and the life of his family and his kids.
I would move to adopt the resolution to inclusion of under the income continuation insurance plan under the state health program.
Second.
Further debate? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item C. First reading of an ordinance to amend sections 15.03.28, 15.06.06, and 15.06.06, 15.06.06.21. Guess I'm missing a number of these. 15.06.06.22 of the zoning ordinance relating to parking and surface standards. Mr. Drager.
All right, good evening. I think you'll remember these from our previous 20 that we started with. We have made some changes. The 16 of those previous ones we started with, we did put in front of you and you did approve of. So we came back with these four, and after speaking with council members, citizens and staff, we kind of worked through some changes that we thought would benefit everybody while still addressing the issues that we were seeing from complaints from citizens around town. We also, along with that, had to add one additional text amendment to this. I guess I would say that we had to, but we felt it was necessary to ease some concerns from people that were looking at some of these changes we were making. I'll start off by reading these, I guess. Section 1 is clarifying parking locations. This is one where we're changing the allowance for a home occupation to park a trailer on the street, unattended by a vehicle or unattached, I should say. Does require that they can park, really does not place a limitation on the number of trailers they can park on their personal property in a legal parking spot, but does require that they have 2 spaces available per the requirements of a single family residence. Section 2 is a problem. You'll remember when we first presented these to you, we were addressing a situation where we have people parking the recreational trailers and things like that on gravel. And then when they leave the property with that, it transfers that dust and gravel onto the street. So, but with the concerns that we heard, we went back to allowing for that gravel, but did add in there that it should not be attached to a driveway to address that situation. And I think that accomplishes what we are trying to achieve in that thing there. So section 3, that's clarifying surfacing standards. Really, this is a lot of what was already there. It also puts some verbiage in there that eliminates some requirements that were previously there for residential driveways, where we've previously had verbiage in there that was requiring a 4-inch minimum for asphalt, which is not typical for a residential property. It also does clarify in there that new and replacement approaches or items in the right of way have to be 6 inches of concrete per ordinance. Section 4, this is one other one where we were originally making a number of changes in here to try to work out the problems we were having or the number of complaints. Ultimately, we reverted back to what we had and added a couple easements to it. Whereas previously there was no allowance for cube type vans and trucks, where now we put it where if they're longer than 21 feet, you can't. So something less than 21 feet, you could park that on your personal property. Same thing with semi trailers and tractors were both listed. A number of people around town bring their semi tractor home overnight. So we took out the tractors as something you can't park there. And then once again, put in that 21 feet as a typical semi tractor. Section 5 would be the one that we added in later on. Person concerns with parking on private property. And this took that 10,000 pound limit for a commercial vehicle type to be on your personal property. And we increased that to 28,000, which is significant in a change. But it allows for a typical single axle dump truck or that semi tractor that we were speaking of to park on your personal property. And I guess that's pretty much it there. Any questions? I just would point out that I appreciated everybody's input on this, and I think everybody worked well to kind of figure out a solution to the complaints and things that I feel coming in my office at the same time addressing the concerns of others. And I think I hope that we found a reasonable way to accommodate everybody.
I think across the board, you did a wonderful job of meeting in the middle and accomplishing aspects from both sides of an issue.
Thank you very much. Yeah, our staff really worked hard on trying to find a resolution for these things.
Chad, I agree. I think this has been a good exercise. I think we took a decent, well-intended set of ordinance changes and made them better with listening to resident feedback. Is there any urgency in getting these changes passed, or?
I wouldn't say there's an urgency. I would think there are some concerns from citizens in certain areas where these would be helpful. So I wouldn't put an urgency behind it, but it would be helpful to have them.
Guys,
So if this ran its normal course of 3 hearings, could be in place by the end of October. Right?
Yep.
Move to direct the city manager to prepare this ordinance for a second reading at the October 3rd, 2023 city council meeting.
Second.
Any further debate? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item D. First reading of an ordinance to amend section 94-432 of municipal code relating to vehicle and trailer parking. Mr. Drager.
Yeah, so this kind of addresses some of the same issues that we were having with the zoning amendment, text amendments that we were proposing. In those zoning text amendments, it does remove that ability for a home occupation to park a trailer in the street. As you'll see down under the crossed out section under 3 down there, that's removing that verbiage in the same ordinance, allowing for that trailer. So those would be conflicting if that was left in place. Up there on D, this is putting a minimum on the number of owner vehicle and trailer attachments that can go in the street adjacent. Excuse me. Sorry.
A maximum. I'm just gonna say a maximum
Yes,
number.
maximum,
Yeah.
excuse me, yes.
Thank you.
Yes, a maximum, and then also puts in there safety concerns and where they can't park, where there's a visibility hazard and things like that.
So just for record, this is still allowing somebody who does work, is it, in here it says that vehicle has to be owned or rented by the property owner or person that lives there. This does allow for them that if they drive a company pickup truck 1 ton with a trailer, that still
Yes, yep,
classifies.
yep, and it still allows for somebody who's working at a property, has an active building permit, and they're working at somebody else's residence, they can still leave their trailer behind overnight for those types of things as well.
How will this apply to, I know of several citizens who race cars and claim that's a business and claim that that's an income, and does this affect them in what fashion? Are they allowed to park it on a street in front of their house or leave it there?
As long as it's attached to a vehicle, it would be allowed. Unattached, the race car driver technically wouldn't fall under a home occupation per our ordinances anyway. If you read through the home occupation, it distinctly does not allow that type for a business, for a home occupation. That would just be a recreational trailer. So in this situation, with the other changes that we had made with that gravel off-street parking and things, they would be able to park that on their property on a gravel pad in the rear of their home if they wanted to keep that.
Or they could also park an enclosed trailer on their private property on a driveway.
Correct.
As long as it's not encroaching on the number of required parking spaces for a single family dwelling, which is 2. So I mean, a lot of, and enclosed spaces count. So a garage would count as 2. So the intent of all of these ordinances kind of working together was to allow people to park recreational trailers on their private property instead of on the street in a number that fits with the size of their driveway and or available parking. So that's what we were really focused on. There's some areas of the city that have very little parking, small driveways, single car garage or no garage at all. Those all require 2 off-street parking spaces. So in those situations, you wouldn't be able to park your recreational trailer in one of those two required parking spaces. But this does allow for folks who have larger driveways, larger garages, et cetera, to park those kind of recreational trailers on their private property instead of on the road. But they still could park them on the road per this section of code, provided that they are attached to a vehicle.
Required parking spaces includes what's in the garage?
Yes.
Correct.
So if you had two spaces in front of your garage and your 2-car garage, that's 4 total spaces.
And if I remember correctly, if you chose to do the gravel pad in the backyard area, it does require some sort of, say, privacy fence or something to interfere with
It could be,
just being blatantly visible.
yep, it could be privacy fence, 5 to 6 feet tall, or it can be evergreen, thick evergreen tree or bush or something like that per our ordinance for screening. Yep. So it doesn't have to be a fence. It could be vegetation.
I think this is a set of well-worded changes again. So I will move to direct the city manager to prepare this ordinance for a second reading at the October 3rd, 2023 city council meeting.
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item E, first reading of an ordinance to repeal section 94-434 of the municipal code relating to taxi cab parking. Mr. Drager.
Yeah, this one's pretty straightforward. The parking space that we're referred to was originally in front of the municipal building here. It had a clear marking and a sign for it, and neither of those things are present any longer. So we felt it appropriate to remove that ordinance requiring that space.
I believe that was because it was not really utilized.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Yes, it was hardly, I did not see, I've been here for a little over a year. I don't see very many people showing up using it.
Yeah, I was surprised by this one, and I will admit, I don't recall seeing a taxi cab parked out there for quite some time, but that was a change we made just I believe a handful of years ago, and I think it was at the request of the taxi company, if I'm not mistaken, but if they weren't using it, I don't see the need to retain it.
Right, yeah, I wasn't here, so I guess I don't recall when. it
Well, that
changed
was
to
actually my request.
That was your.
It was it was a thought that I had that there were people who didn't realize we had taxi cabs. I would have preferred it was on the other side of Main Street of the bridge, so that it was closer to the tavern area where somebody could walk out, go, "Well, you know what? I see a taxi cab. Maybe I should use that rather than drive me home." Didn't function. Wasn't utilized enough here to count.
Good thought.
I move to direct the city manager to prepare this ordinance for a second reading at the October 3rd, 2023 city council meeting.
Second.
Further debate? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thanks, Jed.
Item 8, reports, officers, boards and committees, city manager report.
Thank you. On September 7th, the folks from Jones Farm provided a delicious picnic lunch for the city's police and fire departments located in the parking lot between their buildings. I just want to express my appreciation to the leadership at Jones Farm and as well as all of the employees of Jones who helped cook and serve the food, not only for providing that lunch, but also for providing an opportunity to connect our public safety employees with each other and to build camaraderie and reinforce our team-oriented culture. So I just wanted to publicly acknowledge and appreciate Jones for their work with that. Also on September 7th, the City Council, Economic Development Commission and city staff, along with the owners of the Sweet Spot Bakery in Whitewater, celebrated another loan from the city's Capital Catalyst Revolving Loan Fund. The loan will support a new cafe and bakery business to be located at 225 and 227 South Main Street. And the city has $203,000 left of the initial funds available for additional loans. And then it is a revolving loan fund. So as we get money back, we will be able to loan it out again. September 12th was the 5th and final session of the Local Government Academy, which was a partnership between the city and UW Extension. Representative Scott Johnson and former council president Chris Scheer spoke to the participants about their journeys in government leadership. All participants who were present provided a 5-minute synopsis of their experience in the local government academy and how they will use what they learned. The feedback was very positive. I was pleased to meet and get to know some of the participants. And while we won't run the program annually, we will certainly look to do so again in the future. I also want to thank the Community Foundation for the grant funds to help make the program possible. The Police and Fire Commission met on September 14th to discuss the fire and EMS chief recruitment process. The commission provided feedback to the recruiter about desirable traits in a chief candidate. September 16th was the deadline for applications. We did receive 28 applications for that position. And over the next 2 weeks, the recruiter will review resumes, interview certain candidates, and conduct general background reviews. The Police and Fire Commission will then meet again in October to start to review candidates. City Council held a workshop last night relating to ATVs and UTVs on city streets. An ordinance amendment to allow such use may appear on the council agenda on October 3rd for a first reading. The Board of Review will meet on September 26th. This body reviews formal applications for changes to assessed values of parcels within the city. Note that the property owner is required to complete an application and provide evidence to request a change in the assessed value. If anybody is interested in doing that, please reach out to the city clerk treasurer's office to get more information about the forms and documentation necessary to make an appointment. Finally, staff continues to work through the 2024 draft budget and 2024 to 2029 capital improvements budget and project plan. The city council will have a workshop on Wednesday, October 11th to take a first look at those numbers. And that is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 10, new business. Review and possible action relating to 2024 recycling grant application to the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources.
Thank you. Yes, so this is the annual recycling grant application. The city's estimated recycling expenditures in 2024 is about $230,000. When we do complete this report, the state provides typically around $35,000 in grant funds. So you have the application included in the packet, and staff does recommend that the city council approve the 2024 recycling grant and authorize staff to sign and submit the application to the Wisconsin DNR.
Move to direct the city manager to sign and submit the 2024 recycling grant application to the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources.
Second.
Any further debate? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item B, review and possible action relating to a purchase of a roll-off leaf vacuum collection system from McQueen Equipment for $113,790. Mr. Williamson.
Hi, good evening. I realize every time I write one of these memos for your packet, it's usually very long-winded, so I'll just summarize what I have in here. Essentially, several years ago, my predecessor had the forethought that we were going to run into an issue with buying lots of specialized pieces of equipment that are very expensive. As part of that plan, the staff at the time started to research what can we do to buy a piece of equipment that may have multiple attachments that'll allow us to save some money in the long run. Part of that process, they came to realize that a hook style tandem axle truck, essentially, which is a truck that will allow you to hook onto a piece of equipment and pull it up onto the back of the truck, drive it around and let it down when you're done, and hook another piece when you're ready for another piece. In 2018, when they realized that that was a useful tool for them, part of the process was to figure out what attachments would work now and then in the near future. One of the items was a leaf vac system. The city every fall goes through a 4 to 5 week process where we contract out to GFL, our garbage company that does collection for us. They provide us with a rear access garbage truck and then a driver. So essentially we lease the truck from them for 4 to 5 weeks, and we lease a driver from them for 4 to 5 weeks. And then we supply a couple of employees to go along and fill the hopper, and then they dump, and then that's how we collect our leaves. So what they decided was, let's take a look in 2018, what a cost of a leaf vac would be. A leaf vac truck was outrageously expensive, somewhere near $250,000 to buy that unit. But a leaf vac system mountable to a tandem axle truck was at that time about 90,000, 85,000, 83,000 and some change. There's a table in the memo for that. They committed to go ahead and making that purchase. I believe in the 2018-2019 CIP, that number appeared in the budget that was approved by the council. But due to some changes and some issues during the management in that era, for some reason it didn't get purchased. So when I came on in 2021, I made the order and purchase for the roll-off style truck, the actual hook truck. That took 2 years to arrive. So we actually received that early this spring for the first time after ordering it in 2021. So you have before you now the second phase, which is the request to purchase the leaf vac unit to go on the back of that truck. Unfortunately, in the interim time between when we decided to budget for this and now make this purchase, we've had a pandemic and some changes in the economy and a steep rise in costs of building this piece of equipment. So included in this, I rebid this process and I came up with three bids that you could review as a council and take a look at from 3 different suppliers, 2 vendors, 3 different suppliers. So and what we've decided and thought was the best option was, fortunately, the least expensive option, but a piece of equipment that is very highly rated and comes from a vendor that we've purchased from before. So we have before you, I believe, the financial situation on this is we're going to utilize the funds set aside in the original CIP. And then there's a table on the table item number 3, where in order to make up the difference in the cost differential between what we budgeted in the CIP to what the cost is today, we acquired a sewer camera used in the early spring this last year and utilized some funds out of the utility. So there's some funds from a budgeted sewer camera from 2023 left over that we'd like to utilize for this purchase. And then we do have some street cleaning supply funds available to us in the utility that we would like to utilize through the stormwater utility. And that should get us to the $113,790.
Just to note that sewer camera that we purchased used was only a couple $1,000s and it was purchased out of the wastewater utility.
Correct. It was, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, that was out of the wastewater
And
utility.
this is out of the account numbers all of 10s. So you
Yep.
know it's stormwater utility. But this is a different utility. We had planned to purchase the sewer camera out of this utility, but the wastewater had operating funds available to purchase the used one earlier this spring. And we do use that for for sanitary sewer as well.
Just stating, I like her, was doing that out. It's gonna save the city about $24,000 a year, correct?
Correct. Correct.
In the long term, about 5 years, it's gonna pay for itself. Correct.
Does the vacuum system change how the crews will go about collecting? Oh, I guess what I'm getting at is, will they vacuum from the terrace or will they still need to rake
No,
leaves?
they'll
into
be able
the-
to vacuum from the terrace. So
Yeah.
the process by which the homeowners place the leaves out in the terrace between the sidewalk and the curb stays exactly the same. So this unit, another thing that makes it unique is this truck is set up specifically to be outfitted with this unit. So one driver can operate this vehicle and the vac unit at the same time without having 4 or 5 employees wandering around the city picking up leaves, which will save me in the long run being able to go ahead and utilize those employees in other projects while we still can. Yeah, so essentially one driver and they'll be able to operate the arm and the vac robotically from the driver's side of the vehicle.
And yes, Michelle and I have already reduced the stormwater utility street cleaning budget.
Thank you.
To account for, I mean, pending, of course, council approval of this, but we have already reduced that expenditure.
Tom, was there any particular reason why the Titan model was quite a bit cheaper than the other 2 that were quoted?
I can't answer that. When I talked with the suppliers and then I talked with the vendors, the Titan Model 1, the convenience of it is very close to here. So if we do have to have warranty service done on it, it's just across the border and we can take it right down to have it repaired. The other thing is this particular model is manufactured in the Midwest and they do all of their own manufacturing on site. So I don't know if it's less expensive because they don't import as many different bits and pieces from other people who can, build the components and then they just assemble it. This particular company, the only thing that they don't build for this component is the motor that actually operates the vac and the hydraulics.
So no major concern with difference in build quality or?
No, from what I saw, the thickness of the steel, the welds and components are all very high caliber. And between the two units, and we've had several different units in here to look at, they all functioned, perfectly fine.
Good, thank you.
I want to add one advantage is the service this is going to be to our residents. There was a couple of years ago where the leaves fell very late. And it was unfortunate because we had to schedule early enough with GFL to have the truck and the worker, and the leaves had not fallen yet. And it was kind of everything we had to do after we were done with GFL. And then it was all of our crews stopping what they're doing to try to get all the leaves before the snow falls. So this is advantageous that, maybe all of a sudden we have a odd weather situation within a few days that they can kind of reschedule and use the equipment when it's needed to serve the community and not when it's scheduled a few months in advance. So
Yeah, we won't be beholding to the vendor. And
Yeah.
mind you, GFL has been great to work with. If we've had to postpone them, they've allowed us to postpone them. One thing they have not allowed is if they have a driver set aside for a specific date to start, we haven't been able to start early, but that's just one of those things. They have to pull the driver to do it. And although they're very accommodating, I think this system is just much more advantageous for us to get started when we need to. And we can run this system later into the year without having to be concerned that, we might be going over the 4 or 5 week time frame to get all the leaves cleaned up.
Another fine example of one thing that's impressed me since I became a councilman, that the city employees are very cost conscious with our budget. They don't waste money. They think this is well thought. It's well looked at, very concerned with the city's money and what's the best bang for our buck. Thanks, Tom.
Yeah, thank you.
Can I just ask one thing though?
Sure.
Looking at the quotes that was
Mhm.
provided in the packet.
Mhm.
The cheapest one is 109,940.
Correct.
Our paper says 113.
Yeah, so I didn't highlight that. I should have highlighted that. We're requesting the hydraulic rear door.
Okay.
Part of that is saving the equipment over the long haul. So the rear door is the large hatch in the back that opens and you can dump the leaves or whatever you've collected or vac out. Not having a hydraulic option, that door swings freely. And on the back of that, there's several items that are back there. One of those being a chipper door that we've had installed, and just having that slam back down and lock back into place. It's not built to be a dump truck. So we want to be careful with that. In order to do that, same thing with our vac, our actual sweeper. We get a hydraulic rear lift door and they hold up over time then.
And you can see that the chipper door is included in it, so you can use this for a chip truck.
Yeah, it'll be wonderful having a 24-yard chip truck.
Wow.
But could have really used it.
I could have used it the last 4 or 5 weeks. Yeah.
I would move to approve the purchase of the roll-off leaf back collection system at a cost not to exceed 113,790. The stormwater utility funds as described in table 3.
Second.
Further debate? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Item 11 miscellaneous. Tonight we have none. Item 12 claims, appropriations and contract payments. Review and possible action relating to the verified claims presented by the Director of Finance and authorization of payments. Clerk Everett.
I would move to approve the list of verified claims presented by the Director of Finance and authorized payment.
This is a roll call vote.
Councilman Becker,
Aye.
Councilman Jekyll,
Aye.
Councilman Lesko Hair,
Aye.
Councilman Schultz.
Aye.
President Johnson.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 13, city council may adjourn into closed session per Wisconsin statute 1985(1)(e) to deliberate and negotiate the terms of a draft project development agreement and or extension of the master development agreement between the city of Fort Atkinson, Hoffman Development Group LLC, and Cedar Prize LLC relating to the city-owned property along Banker Road.
I move to adjourn into closed session pursuant to state statute 19.851(e) to deliberate or negotiate the terms of a draft project development agreement and or extension of the master development agreement between the city of Fort Atkinson, Hoffman Development Group LLC, and Cedar Prize LLC relating to the city-owned property along Banker Road.
Second.
This is also a roll call vote.
Councilman Becker,
Aye.
Councilman Jekyll,
Aye.
Councilman Lesko Hair.
Aye.
Councilman Schultz.
Aye.
President Johnson.
Aye. Motion carries.
We are in closed session. If you guys could all leave, thank you. We will be coming back, likely be coming back into open session. So if you want to wait outside for that, you certainly can. Or you can go from here. It's up to you.
It's Tuesday.
Sometimes it's just rolls outside and other times I'm like, wait, what am I saying? Okay.
Okay, we are back in open session.
And we're checking, I assume we're checking to see if there's someone out there that's gonna rejoin us.
Yeah, it's fine anyway. We're not responsible for finding them. If they,
We open the door and let the door in.
right.
We
Right.
have the right to continue.
Yep.
Yes.
The city council has returned to open session to take action on an extension of the master development agreement between the city of Fort Atkinson, Hoffman Development Group LLC, Cedar Prize LLC relating to the city-owned property along Banker Road.
Since we had a good discussion on this, I will move to approve the 4-month extension of the master development agreement between the city of Fort Atkinson, Hoffman Development Group LLC, and Cedar Prize LLC relating to the city-owned property along Banker Road.
Second.
No further discussion. All those in favor,
This a roll call?
according to this.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry. That's okay. It's okay.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 15, adjournment.
I move to adjourn.
I think somebody owns somebody a Pepsi or something.
Does that qualify as a first and second?
Second, I do.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned.